Hello. So I wanted to share a trick. I hadn't seen it anywhere. Maybe somebody knows this already, but I just decided to give it a shot and it ended up working. Um, with an expression pedal and a couple of Strymon pedals here. They have expression inputs on the back where you can control them with something. Either a normal kind of volume pedal used as an expression where you can control any of the parameters on the timeline via expression pedal live, changing the mix or whatever, or the Big Sky or the Mobius or whatever. Also, there's Dan Burgess, the This One's Mine guy, makes these little mini expression wheels. So if space is at a premium or you like a smaller board like I do, then you can turn this little guy with your foot and get the expression that way instead when you're changing things. So that just gives you a bunch of different options. I'll just go over that really quickly, like how that's used. So let's say on the timeline here, you can go over to where it says expression, make sure it's on, and then you set it, and you set the heel and the toe position. They're thinking of a normal pedal, but heel would be to the left, toe would be to the right. And so let's say for the filter, let's say when it's all the way down, we're going to have the brightest repeats. And then we'll move it to toe here. When it's all the way up, it's got the darkest repeats. Set that there. And so then if you want to hear what that is, you can hear right now it's kind of, the filter's still up. It's at the darkest repeats. If we turn this guy down, then you got brighter repeats, and you can control that on the fly, darker, brighter, in terms of the preset anyway. And you can set any knob on here, like on either of these devices like that, which is crazy. And when you connect your expression pedal or wheel or whatever, or your roller even, there's rollers now, when you connect those in, it's just a TRS cable, just a stereo 1/4-inch cable. So I started thinking, I was like, well, what if I just get a stereo splitter cable? So just stereo on one end and then splits to two different stereos on the other end. And I just plugged both in and figured that I could control both with the same knob or pedal, both the timeline and Big Sky. And maybe this isn't new information. There's products like Disaster Area makes some little MIDI boxes that let you control these together. And some of those actually have expression wheels built onto them, and they let you control expression just through MIDI. But if you don't have one of those boxes, or you don't want to spend a couple $100 on one where you could control it that way, you could just get a stereo splitter cable. You can get them pretty cheap. The right angle one I had to have made, and it was maybe like $45, which is a lot for a pedal, but it's less than a couple hundred if you want to do that. But there's actually Radio Shack ones. I used one of those first, and they're like $8 or something like that, and they're not right angled, but they'll work, and they do the same thing. And so you're like, well, what good is that if I can control both? Well, with the Big Sky and Timeline, you can set exactly what you want on each pedal with the expression. So let's say you have a setting where you still want the expression pedal to just control one of them, even if it's connected to both, that's fine. You just go in here, make sure expression's off on the one you don't want it to do, and make sure it's on the one that you do want to control. But let's say you do want to do both. Like, let's turn expression on for both. Let's say on the timeline, we're going to have the expression control the mix knob. So we'll turn the mix all the way down. On toe, we'll turn it to 50%. And let's do the same on the Big Sky. Let's say we want mix off on heel, mix about 50% on toe. So we'll set that up. And so then once we fire it up here, if we turn our expression knob all the way down, nothing. But when you turn it all the way up, we now have 50% on both pedals. And you can do that in any combination, so you can actually express them together. And so there's like, since you can do any knob on either one, there's a crap ton of combinations that you can do if you want to do it that way. The other thing that you can do that's kind of neat is so we've got both of them set to heel is 0 mix and toe is 100% mix. what you could also do is you could set that backwards on one of these. So let's say on the Big Sky we go expression and we set it the other way. Let's say at the heel we want it to be really heavy mix, but on the toe we want it to be off. So what you've effectively done is you've gotten to where you can go using your expression pedal. You can select either all the timeline or all the Big Sky, or halfway would be halfway in between both. So if I'm over on the right here, I'm going to get just timeline. And no Big Sky. If I come all the way over here, all Big Sky. And somewhere in between, get a little mix of both. Lean a little timeline, lean a little Big Sky over here. So it's just a neat little trick that kind of, if money's at a premium or whatever, you just kind of want to mess with something, since you can change, like I said, any parameters. I found it useful for, let's say you wanted to change to something where you were going to go into a swell in the middle of a song or something. Like say you've got a rhythm part or a part that's pretty clearly defined. You could set your expression to when you turn it up. It's basically like a different preset without having to set a preset, I guess. You could set just like super wet settings. You can actually change multiple knobs at once on each unit, so you could increase the mix and the decay time and the mix and repeats all at once with one motion on one knob. And then you could get from real soupy, and then you could back it off, and you could do that. So you can get just a bunch of different settings per song. You could do that with mod. There's just endless possibilities. And since you can turn one pedal off and on at will, it just makes it crazy. And then throw on top of that with the timeline in Big Sky, that if you use presets, that per preset you can change this to be different. So you can have one preset where the expression only controls the Big Sky because it's off over here. You could have another preset where it controls both. You could have another preset where it controls different knobs. It's crazy the amount of things that you can do with it. But anyway, just throwing that out there. Like I said, you could look at something like Disaster Area. That would be simpler in a lot of ways. But again, if space is at a premium for you, or money's not flowing out of your ears, as it frequently isn't for most of us, then you could do that route instead, and you can still accomplish some crazy stuff with a expression knob like this, or a pedal or a roller or whatever. So anyway, just a little trick for you. Hope it's helpful. Bye.